I can wholeheartedly say I know Kyrie Irving is not anti-Semitic.
When given the chance to say, are you anti-Semitic or not, he didn't say, no, I'm not anti-Semitic. At the press conference, tell us about that movie. Why did he said, stop dehumanizing me. And the movie is saying white Jews invented the Holocaust and 6 million Jews didn't get killed. Okay, I know that isn't right. There's a gigantic historical record. Jewish people know when you dehumanize us this way, we know what's around the corner.
So in that same statement as those are the tropes that dehumanize Jewish people, the same buck breaking.
What's that? I don't really know what that means, to be perfectly honest.
The slave masters would bring the buck, the one that gets out of line. So all the other slaves would see lash after lash showed them the power to set an example. This is what you must do to fall in line. So when we see the 6 things that Kyrie must do to get his job back, that's dehumanizing. I can wholeheartedly say I know Kyrie Irving is not anti-Semitic.
When given the chance to say, are you anti-Semitic or not?
Toby, my name is Toby.
Aye. That's a good nigger. Cut him down.
I can wholeheartedly say I know Kyrie Irving is not anti-Semitic.
When given the chance to say, are you anti-Semitic or not, he didn't say, no, I'm not anti-Semitic. At the press conference, tell us about that movie. Why did he said, stop dehumanizing me. And the movie is saying white Jews invented the Holocaust and 6 million Jews didn't get killed. Okay, I know that isn't right. There's a gigantic historical record. Jewish people know when you dehumanize us this way, we know what's around the corner.
So in that same statement as those are the tropes that dehumanize Jewish people, the same buck breaking.
What's that? I don't really know what that means, to be perfectly honest.
The slave masters would bring the buck, the one that gets out of line. So all the other slaves would see lash after lash showed them the power to set an example. This is what you must do to fall in line. So when we see the 6 things that Kyrie must do to get his job back, that's dehumanizing. I can wholeheartedly say I know Kyrie Irving is not anti-Semitic.
Alright, shalom my Hebrew people. Shalom, shalom, shalom. I just want to start this off. You remember, you just heard the guy talking to Nick Cannon. And when Nick Cannon was talking to him about bug breaking, he pretended he didn't know what bug breaking was. Okay? Now, it's funny because if we just get down to brass tacks, most people should know that the Jews had and owned more slaves than Caucasian people. And I want people to understand that the Jews are the Edomites. Caucasian people are not Edomites. There's no nationality called Caucasian. Okay? So, but I want to say something. I want to read something from a book for you. Okay? And in this book, I want to read this. It says, whether so many Southern Jews would have achieved so high a level of social, political, economic, and intellectual status and recognition without the presence of the lowly and degraded slave is indeed dubious. How ironic that distinctions bestowed upon Jewish men like Judah P. Benjamin were in some measure dependent upon the sufferings of the Negro slaves they bought and sold with such equanimity. And that's from Roberta Strauss Fröhlich, The Fate of the Jews, A People Torn Between Israeli Power and Jewish Ethics. New York Times Books, 1983, pages 187 through 88. 188, okay? So I just want to show you guys that when he said that, he acted like he didn't know what was going on. And it's not even to compare pain or anything like that or suffering. You can look at Red Cross numbers and look at the numbers and things like that. Kyrie Irving simply shared a link to a documentary. Now here's the crazy part. That link is anti-Semitism. But you can go on Amazon and find movies and gangster movies and things like that where we degrade each other, we degrade our women, we use the N word, you know, the nigger word, and those expletives, racial epithets consistently. And guess what? There is no anti-Semitism. When the Caucasians make these movies, they don't have to pay back. They don't have to pay back $500K to the Black Caucus. So why is it that Kyrie Irving is being forced to jump through these hoops? It's just literally book breaking. That's all it is. Because they created this narrative where the celebrities amongst our people, for some reason, our people really care about celebrities. Now the truth is, I don't. I care about them in the sense of who they are, but I don't look at celebrities and want to be like celebrities. I've never seen a celebrity I said, I want to be like this person. I want to play basketball like this person. I guess I'm just not carnal, if you would use the word like that, in that aspect. So I never ran behind people that made money and made millions of dollars. I really don't really care. You live your own life, do the best you can with your own life, because your life comes with enough issues instead of worrying about other people's celebrities. But a lot of people do. So with that being the case, they're going after Kyrie Irving for one particular reason, because Kyrie Irving literally has the ears of the youth. See, basketball players are very, 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 very popular amongst our children. And when you start hearing these basketball players telling us that we're Hebrews and we have to do certain things, he just shared a link. Jeff Bezos owns the Amazon platform. I know he stepped down, but it's ran by a Jew, if I'm not mistaken, right now. So why is it that they're attacking Kyrie for anti-Semitism when he didn't say anything, but they haven't taken the movie down? See, when you take the movie down, I can take you serious. You can't take that movie down. Why would I take you serious? This is a witch hunt, and they know that our people are always going to be caught up in just foolishness. We don't see the big picture. But they're trying to demonize Kyrie Irving. That's the point. And see, the demonization actually started with Kanye West. But see, Kanye West doesn't really know anything. You can tell he doesn't really know. He's heard things just like most people on YouTube. They probably listen to some of these camps. And I'm an Israelite. Okay. He probably knows the basics. But he's still in idolatry because they're still talking about Jesus and Yeshua and all this other stuff. Even the guy that made the documentary Hebrews to Negroes, that's just black Christianity, where you took the Christian doctrine and made the people and the characters in there black. You didn't go through and look at the idols. You didn't go through and look at the contradictions in the New Testament between the New Testament and the Old Testament, aka the Book of Remembrance. You didn't do any of that. Okay? And that's one of the things that people don't understand. Okay? So this is a book called A History of the Jews. Solomon Grazel states that the Jews were among the most important slave dealers in European society. Lady Magnus writes that in the Middle Ages, the principal purchasers of slaves were found among the Jews. They seemed to be always and everywhere at hand to buy and to have the means equally ready to pay. Henry L. Feingold states that Jews, who were frequently found at the heart of commerce, could not have failed to contribute a proportionate share to the slave trade, directly or indirectly. In 1460, when the Jews were masters of the nautical sciences in Portugal. So now you're starting to understand who was it in Portugal that was actually enslaving and running those ships and making those chains. Okay? It says that nation was importing 700 to 800 slaves yearly. The success of these medieval merchants was enhanced by their supreme linguistic abilities. They spoke Arabic, Persian, Roman, Frankish, Spanish, and Slavonic, and displayed a business acumen far in advance of the times. So just think about that for a second. So really just think about that. Now also, when you look into the old etymological dictionaries, the word white, noun, right? And you look at that from that standpoint, you get to understand what I'm really saying. Okay, give me an example. And this is the trickery, the deception that a lot of Israelites don't understand when I make the distinction that the Edomite, the Amalekite Edomite Jews, the ones that have perpetual hatred against the Creator Yah, and who Yah in the Torah says he will have, and Tanakh says he will have war with from generation to generation. White, noun, Old English, wit, whiteness, white food, white of an egg. From white, adjective, also in late Old English, a highly luminous color devoid of chroma, meaning white part of the eyeball. It's from the 1400s, right? Now check this out. Remember, you don't see anything in relation to this actual definition with skin color till much later. Watch this. Meaning white man, person of a race distinguished by light complexion, is from the 1670s. Now, people know that the transatlantic slave trade took place and started in 1619. So you're talking about the 1670s. This is the first time you start to hear people being called white man. It says white man in this sense is from the 1690s. Okay? Meaning white man's burden is from Rudyard Kipling's 1899 poem. Right? So again, you start to see that in the 1690s, 1670s to 1690s, that 20-year gap, you start seeing people or white people being called what? White. White, based upon skin tone and this concept we have. This kills the Moorish argument because the Moors try to pretend that white and all these things are statuses. But guess what? We were slaves before these statuses of white and black colors existed. Now, if you even look into white, you'll see that the word white comes from the old Germanic word blakas, meaning black. So actually white is black and black is white. Okay? But we're not going to even go down that rabbit hole. When you look at the etymology of the word white, remember in 1492, Chris Columbus, or Christopher Columbus, who never called himself Christopher Columbus, was actually a Jew. He's an Amalekite Edomite Jew. But what did he do? In 1492, he started to enslave the Native American Indians, right? And that's in 1492. But remember, the concept of a white man based on racial superiority or anything like that, or racial skin tone, did not exist at that time. Also, in the 1600s, like say 1670, 1690 is when we get that concept of white skin, a race of white people. But the slave trade started in 1619. The reason that concept was created, white man, etc., was by the Amalekite Edomite Jews, because by calling and saying and inventing the term white man, which had never existed in history, from ancient Kemet, people talk about Tamahu and all these different things, they never called themselves white. Just like we didn't call ourselves black because we had nothing to compare ourselves to. We were surrounded by people of different skin pigmentation, melanated people, right? So we didn't have to make that claim. We didn't have to say that. So when you look at it from that standpoint, the Caucasians, or that what we call Caucasian, which means coming from the Caucasus Mountain, it does not mean white. We, in modern times, have attributed that to meaning white, but the truth is it doesn't mean white. And in 1670 to 1690 is when we start to get this concept of white people. Now, why is that important? Because the slave trade had already started. But the Jews knew one thing. The Amalekite Edomite Jews knew that by saying and coming up with the concept of white and black people, because we never had that concept in history. People say Kemet means land of the blacks. It doesn't mean land of the blacks. That's a transliteration into English. Okay? They didn't call themselves black because black is an old English term. Just like they didn't call a Tamahu white. Okay? Those concepts started in the 1670s, 1690s. So by saying that, when I told you earlier, and I can give you tons of proof that the people that made the slave ships, made the chains, that were the navigators, that were buying the slaves, as I just read, from Jewish sources, I might add. What I just gave you guys earlier in this, those are Jewish sources. So now by saying white, and they can blend in as white, black people, quote unquote, so-called black people, because we're not black, with different shades of brown, we will start to do what? Point fingers at so-called white people and not point fingers at the nation that started it. We won't point fingers at who? The Amalekite Edomite Jew. See, by saying white, just like by saying black, a lot of people say, you're African, right? And we understand that in modern context, when you say the term African, it's somebody that's indigenous or from that continent that we call Africa today. But you have 50 countries inside of there, and they're all nations. They're different nations. So you might be Wolof, you might be Mandinka, you might, right? These are different nations. Guyanese, right? You have all of these different nations that exist in the continent of Africa. And if you call a Zulu a Nigerian, that is totally incorrect. Just like you can't call a so-called child of the diaspora or so-called African American Negro, you can't. Those are proverbs and bywords. Hadabarim 28, Deuteronomy chapter 28. It told you we'd be called everything except what we are, which is what? The children of Israel. You look at the book of Psalms, the 83rd Psalms. Come, let us cut them off from being a people, that the name of Israel be no more remembrance in the earth. That's why we don't call ourselves Israel to this day. We're just fulfilling these prophecies. But you're starting to see now, after the third day, that we're starting to wake up. That was prophesied as well. We're starting to wake up. We're starting to wake up to who we are. By default, when we find out who we are, we also find out who our main enemy is. And when you read the 83rd Psalm, it tells you the house of Edom, the Amalekite Edomites who are pretending to be us. Okay? They're pretending to be us. Now, again, we put ourselves in this condition. You look at Kanye West here. Slavery was a choice. Everybody got so upset and bent out of shape out of that. But if you read Deuteronomy chapter 28, it was told us to choose. Verses 1 through 15 are the blessings. 14 is the blessings. 15 through 67 is the curses. We were told to choose life or death. The blessings are the curses. We chose to disobey the supreme creator and intellect of the universe, Yah of hosts, and therefore we were what? Enslaved. It's all right there in Deuteronomy chapter 28. The curses, 15 through 67. It's all the curses right there. So that's what actually happened to us as a people. Now, if we don't return back to the Most High, like 1 Kings chapter 8, starting at 46, etc., tells us wholeheartedly to keep the law, statutes, commandments, precepts, ordinances, and judgments, if we don't turn back to the Most High, then what happens? Esau continues to rule, and he'll stay ruling. Okay? So when you look at Kanye West actually doesn't have a lot of understanding in regards to the children of Israel. He really doesn't understand. He's heard things, he knows he's an Israelite, but he doesn't have the understanding. And that's one thing I want you guys to get through your head. I've seen this video floating around that these celebrities know we're the children of Israel. But these people are the most ignorant people on the planet. They may know we're Israel, but they don't know what it entails. I've heard people say we're from the 12 tribes of Judah. So they don't know. They do not know. So when you look at Kanye West, he's been a part of this machine for so long. And we all know that the conspiracy theory that Kanye West's mother was killed, we've all heard that. We've all known about that. And and eventually in the future, this will come out. He will come out and let you guys know that probably, because he's trying to save himself at this point. Now, this guy here, Pasternak, right here on the screen, is his trainer. He's Kanye West's trainer. Now, as Kanye West's trainer, this is the problem we have with him. He literally goes and sends Kanye West this actual text message. It says, I'm going to help you one of a couple ways. First, you and I sit down and have a loving and open conversation, but you don't use cuss words, and everything that is discussed is based in fact, and not some crazy stuff that dumb friend of yours told you or you saw in a tweet. You see that? Second option, I have you institutionalize again, meaning he had him done the first time. This is his physical trainer, but we'll get to that. Have you institutionalized again, where they medicate the crap out of you and you go back to zombie land forever. Play date with the kids just won't be the same. So this is an Amalekite Edomite Jew. Kanye West showed this from him, Harley Pasternak. And this is what he sent Kanye, saying, now remember, they make you crazy first. They make you anti-Semitic. They make you crazy. They tell you that you're everything but a child of God first. So then you're crazy. He said, we'll institutionalize you again, meaning the first time. That's why I keep telling you guys, Dave Chappelle told you guys. And I'm going to let Dave Chappelle tell you in this video series, he told you guys, you don't go around calling people crazy. It's dismissive. Because the people that run the media, the people that run the news, these are the people that literally will take what you say, spin it, and paint you as a bad guy. And remember, the average person cannot think for themselves. Okay, they can't think for themselves. So this guy's a physical trainer. That's like going up to Planet Fitness and the guy at Planet Fitness telling the people in the hospital, you need to be institutionalized and put on drugs. How does he have that power? Because he's a high-ranking Amalekite Edomite Jew, and he deals with a lot of celebrities. See, this game is much bigger than you guys think. You guys just see something and don't consider the source you're seeing it from, because it's not a person typically talking. You see a bunch of different people asking the same question. Kyrie, why won't you apologize? Why won't you apologize? Apologize for what? What did he say wrong? What did he say that was anti-Semitic? And what did Kyrie say? How can I be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from? He's telling you he's Shemitic. We are the Israelites. We are the Hebrew Israelites. That's what he's telling you. But you don't see that because you're a Christian. You're damn religion. You see? Or you're a Muslim. That's a damn religion. There's no country called Muslim. There's no country called Christian. That is not a nationality. So let's look at this one more time. Let's look at it again. I'm going to help you one of a couple ways. First, you and I sit down and have a loving and open conversation, but you don't use cuss words, and everything that is discussed is based in fact, and not some crazy stuff that dumb friend of yours told you or you saw in a tweet. See? Remember, already setting the narrative. This is how you control the narrative with people. You set the narrative. Second option, I have you institutionalized again. So when y'all was around talking about Kanye West was crazy, because the medication makes you crazy. Don't take my word for it. You guys deal with the New Testament. When you go into the book of Revelation, the word sorcery. The word sorcery is the Greek word pharmakia. That's where we get our word pharmacy from. Why do you think you're under the influence when people act crazy? They're under the influence. See, it's up is down, left is right, hot is cold. In this society, everything has been changed. So you're running around thinking that everything is good. You're running around thinking everything. Take your medicine. Notice all your children are on medicine. They're trying to put your children on medicine. You go to it and you bump your elbow, they'll give you medicine. It's always medicine. It's sorcery. It's sorcery. How many of you guys didn't stand up during that whole COVID thing when you didn't take the vaccine? And look what the media did. Look at who owns YouTube. Back in the day, we had a joke, we called it YouTube, right? But look who owns YouTube. Look who owns Twitter. Look who owns all of these social media platforms. Even today, who owns Twitter? Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a Jew. He's an Amalekite Edomite Jew. Jeff Bezos owns Amazon. Rupert Murdoch, Fox News, MSNBC. This, I can show you guys, this is run by Jews. So when you control all these institutions, you literally show the narrative. Again, I'm not even upset with them because I understand them. Because I understand that Esau has his part to play, just like we have our part to play. But it's time for us to wake the hell up. It's time for us to stop playing games, running around talking about we're the original black man. Again, I just showed you guys. The term black is not even 700 years old. It's English. It's old English at that. The term white is not even 700 years old. It's old English. You want to call yourself the original man, you weren't speaking English. Okay? Sanskrit, Greek, German, Latin, and English. That's where the Sanskrit language comes from. So you guys are running around here in ignorance, calling yourself and saying things. Obadiah chapter 1. What does Obadiah chapter 1 say? I shall make you small amongst the heathen. House of Esau. Esau is Edom, Amalekite Jews. Just go and look at the Table of Nations. The guy that made the Hebrew Negroes documentary, he said that the Jews are from Japheth. They are not from Japheth. They assume names as they need names. They just assume names to throw you off the scent because you're running around trying to play skin color. We're the only that play the crayon game. And I'm showing you the concept of a white person, the concept of a black person is not 700 years old. The Romans didn't call people black people. When we start looking at the word atheios, or etheios would mean burnt face, it doesn't mean black. The connotation is there, but it doesn't mean that. Okay? When you look at Septimius Severus, Roman emperor, so-called dark-skinned Negro person, guess what? Not black. You're not black. Look at your skin. Give any child a crayon and tell them the color T'Challa. The suit will be black and the skin will be brown. Next, part 2. We're going to go in on the man with the Pegasus tattoo on his chest, the Boule Negro himself, the one that they used to trot out and put in front of everybody to diffuse situations. Now remember, he went at Kyrie. We got to help Kyrie learn. We'll go on LeBron James because LeBron James is everything but a king. LeBron James is an Israelite that is so confused that he's a part of this machine, that he's only about money, finances, and wealth, like most Negroes. And we're going to get into this. We're going to get into this while y'all paper chasing. Shalom.